right, diving in today, folks, and we are tackling a spot that you guys requested a bunch. We're looking at Kanpur, India.
Really interesting city.
Yeah, seems like a really cool place. I definitely had heard of it, but didn't know a ton. But we've got this great overview here. It's going to take us through the history, the industry, some cultural stuff, a little bit about the geography. So hopefully by the end of this, you guys will know a lot more than you did before.
Yeah, should be a good deep dive. I'm really intrigued by this whole Manchester of the East thing. I know that gets thrown around about a few different places, but it seems like it really stuck with Kanpur.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to try and unpack, right? Like what led to that? What does that actually mean about the city, both in the past and now?
Exactly, yeah.
So to get us started, I mean, this document jumps right into the history, and it makes it clear that Kanpur was a hugely important place during the 1857 First War of Indian Independence, which some people might also know as the Sepoy Mutiny. And it wasn't just like, oh, something happened there. It was a major center. And it sounds like there were some really serious battles fought to recapture it. So, I mean, clearly a place that's had a big impact on the whole struggle for independence in India.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the document really emphasizes just how intense the fighting in Kanpur was, you know, and its location strategically made it really, really important. So, yeah, I think the impact went way beyond just the city itself. It was a major flashpoint, you know, and it makes you think about how a city kind of carries that legacy, right? How it shapes their identity even today.
Right.
I mean, how do you move forward from something that big and often, you know, quite traumatic?
Yeah. It's a heavy thing to carry, I imagine. So, you know, we talked about the whole Manchester of the East title, and it's clear from what we've got here that it wasn't just a cute nickname. It was based on something real, you know, the sheer number of textile mills that they had.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just textiles, was it? I mean, leather comes up as a big deal too, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, the Manchester thing makes you think textiles, obviously.
Right.
But Kanpur was a lot more diverse than that. So, yeah, this document really highlights the leather industry alongside it. And it even mentions other big industries that were there, like chemicals, engineering. It's pretty interesting. I mean, what do you think led to all that growth? You know, was it the location? Was it the access to resources? Were there certain government policies at the time that helped things along? It's got to be kind of a mix of all that, right?
Yeah.
And I think for anyone listening, like, think about what that means now.
Yeah.
You know, are those same factors still in play today? It's a totally different economic world.
Totally. It makes you wonder what the long-term impacts of some of those things are. Speaking of kind of changing with the times, you know, this document brings up education and research. And it specifically mentions IIT Kanpur.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know, rightfully so. I mean, that's a top-tier engineering school in India.
It's a big deal. It really puts Kanpur on the map in terms of being a center of innovation, you know, attracting talent. But the document makes a good point that it's not just IIT, right? There are other colleges, universities there offering really good quality education in lots of different fields. And that's really important, right? Because you need that skilled workforce to keep things moving forward.
Right.
So, you know, you think about the future of Indian cities, and places like these are going to be key. They're the engines.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's maybe shift gears a little bit, get into something a bit more, I don't know, tasty.
Okay, yeah.
Let's talk about the culture in Kanpur.
Yeah.
And, you know, the food scene is definitely something that comes up in this document. It specifically calls out the street food, which is making me hungry just reading about it. They list things like aloo tikki, pani puri, dahi puri, chaat papri. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you. That all sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just that kind of street food, right? I mean, the document talks about the influence of Awadhi cuisine, which is known for its, you know, slow-cooked dishes, lots of flavor, often with like a Mughlai influence. You're talking about, you know, like kebabs and biryanis and all sorts of really rich, flavorful dishes. And what's cool about this is that food is like a direct link to history. Right? It's a way to taste the different cultures that have come together in a place. And you've got that mix in Kanpur, you know, that quick, vibrant street food, and then the more kind of refined Awadhi tradition. It's a story in itself.
It really is. You put that really well.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of things that bring people together, the document talks a lot about how major Indian festivals are celebrated in Kanpur. So, you know, you've got Diwali, Holi, Eid, Durga Puja. And it really emphasizes the vibrancy, the energy of those celebrations. But also, it really highlights the unity that you see between the different religious and cultural communities during those times.
Yeah. I think that that shared experience of celebrating together, it really says a lot about the social fabric of a place.
Right.
Those festivals become a way to build connections, and it suggests a city where people are coming together, even if they come from really different backgrounds.
Yeah, it's a really positive image. Okay, so let's shift gears again and talk about the actual physical environment. So, geographically, Kanpur's got a semi-arid climate, which means, according to this, some really hot summers. I mean, we're talking like over 40 degrees
Yeah,
Celsius.
that's intense.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. On the other hand, the winters are pretty mild, around 4 degrees. And then, of course, they have the monsoon season.
Yeah, that's a pretty big swing in temperatures. I mean, that kind of climate must really affect how people live, right? Everything from what you wear to, how they farm in the surrounding areas.
Right.
But but I think what's even more important maybe is the location. Like Kanpur is right on the Ganges River, and the document talks about how crucial that's been historically, both for trade and for agriculture. I mean, for centuries, having access to a waterway like that would have been everything, right? For transportation, irrigation, just basic survival. It's a really powerful factor in how Concord developed.
It's amazing how all these pieces kind of fit together. So, fast forwarding to today, it seems like the economy in Kanpur is still pretty strongly tied to those traditional sectors that we were talking about before, like textiles, leather, engineering, manufacturing.
Yeah.
But there's a shift happening, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the document points to a lot of growth in the IT and service sectors, which, it's something we're seeing in lots of Indian cities. It's part of that global shift,
Yeah.
away from just traditional industries. And for a place like Kanpur, it's good news, right? It means they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Right.
They're diversifying, which is, really important for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a sign of a city that's looking ahead, trying to figure out how to stay relevant. And it sounds like actually getting to and from Kanpur is pretty straightforward. The document mentions strong connections by road, and it's got a major railway station.
Oh, yeah.
So rail travel is a big deal there.
Okay.
And they even have an airport, Kanpur Airport, that handles domestic flights. Plus, good road links to major cities like Lucknow, Delhi, Agra.
Right. And that connectivity is really crucial, right? I mean, Kanpur is a major economic hub and a cultural center. So it needs those links to the rest of the country and even the world.
Yeah.
Being able to move people, goods, ideas easily, that's essential for growth.
Absolutely. So, if anyone out there is thinking about a trip to India, the document gives us a little rundown of some key tourist attractions. There's the Allan Forest Zoo, which is apparently one of the biggest in all of India.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool. Then there's Bithor, which is it's a place of religious and historical significance.
Right.
Then you've got Jajmau, which is kind of a cool mix. It's got ancient history stuff, archaeological sites, but also it's still a center for the leather industry. And then, lastly, there's the Kanpur Memorial Church, which is a reminder of that 1857 rebellion that we talked about.
Yeah. I really like how those attractions kind of show the different sides of Kanpur, right? You've got the natural beauty of the zoo, the history and spirituality of Bithor, that kind of blend of ancient and industrial in Jajmau, and then the very real reminder of the past with the Memorial Church. It's a really multi-layered place.
Yeah, it really does seem like there's a lot to discover there. So let's talk about the people who live there. This document describes it as a real melting pot with lots of different cultures and traditions represented from all over India. Hindi's the main language, but you'll also hear Kannaujiya, which is like a local dialect of Hindi. And of course, English is pretty widely spoken, especially in business and education settings.
Yeah. That kind of linguistic mix is often a sign of a really dynamic, vibrant city.
Right.
It suggests a lot of movement and interaction over time.
Yeah.
And having English spoken widely, it means it's connected to the global scene, too.
Totally. So last but not least, this document points out a few notable folks who were from Kanpur. You've got Nanaji Deshmukh, who was a social activist and politician, pretty respected guy.
Yeah.
Shifal Yadav, who's a big name in politics. And Rajiv Dixit, who was a social activist known for his views on Indian history and culture.
Interesting. And, those three individuals with their different backgrounds and achievements, they kind of reflect the different ways that Kanpur has had an influence, right, on social issues, on politics, on culture. It's a place that's made its mark.
It really seems like it. So wrapping it all up, I mean, it really does feel like Kanpur is this fascinating mix of old and new.
Yeah.
It's deeply connected to its past. I mean, you think about the role in the independence movement, that whole Manchester, the East legacy.
Right.
But at the same time, it's clearly embracing modern growth. New industries, new ways of doing things. It's like this perfect blend of tradition and progress, just like the document says.
I totally agree. I mean, it's a place where you can still see the echoes of the past.
Right.
The historical sites, the industries that have been there for a long time. But you also see this real drive to move forward, to innovate, to find new paths. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. It's got this unique character.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I guess the question now is, what's next? What role is a city like Kanpur going to play
Right.
in the bigger picture of India's development? I mean, it clearly got this rich history, this industrial power, and it's still changing. So what's the next chapter? What's the next, Manchester, the East Industry that might pop up there? Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Great discussion.
Appreciate it.